Phyllis irks Kane by showing up on his train again. She questions if this was just a long build-up to nothing. Are you going to shatter my dreams? Kane teases that it's not on his to-do list for today. Hilariously, he tries to get Red to relax. She just keeps ranting, saying he's stalled and is holding back. Is it your kids? She finally asks. Kane admits Maddie and Charlie won't take his calls. Phyllis empathizes. She's sure they'll come around when the shock wears off. Kane declares they can't launch the plan until he talks to his children. Phyllis suggests she forge ahead and get a head start. Give me a project. She cannot wait to have Victor Newman groveling at her feet. Kane smirks. What do you know about artificial intelligence? Phyllis shrugs that she's dabbled in AI. Kane is going to need her to become an expert on it, sooner rather than later. Her ability to learn things fast and pivot is central to their success. Phyllis salivates. I'm on it. As she asks how they're going to use it in business, Kane wants her to figure it out first, then he'll tell her how they'll use it to get what they want. Lily and Devin settle in at society. She's sure her brother is sick of hearing her complain about Kane, so rather than do that, she asks him about Nate. Devin says Audra's done something that's tearing him up when he's trying to grieve Damien. They hope Nate leaves her. Lily rants that she hates Audra after seeing her flirt with Kyle right in front of them in France. Inevitably, the conversation turns to Kane. Lily complains that her kids thought that Kane was doing something honorable, but all he was doing was inflating his bank account. She's thankful when her brother offers to reach out to them, and then picks up ranting about Kane becoming like Colin with his high-level game of setting up marks. She wishes Kane had never come back into her life and mocks him for having a train on every continent. Devin then learns she tried to make a deal with him, but he wouldn't divulge any information. She fears all Kane is left with is retribution. At Crimson Lights, Audra continues her denials, but Nate's not buying it. He'll give her one last chance to come clean. If she lies again, he's out of there. Trying to turn the tables, Audra cries that her boyfriend's willing to blow it all up over a rumor or lie. Nate protests that he doesn't want to do that. You mean everything to me. Audra sniffs that he's made his mind up. She tries to storm out, but he stops her. She fumes that Kyle will be so pleased about this. It was his goal. Nate tells her to stop grasping at straws. The only one trying to make him look like a fool right now is her. Audra keeps trying to pull the wool over his eyes where Kyle's concerned, but it's the Victor part that doesn't add up for him. He can't believe she suddenly had second thoughts about taking the Black Knight's money. Unable to convince her boyfriend of her story, Audra finally blurts, "What do you want me to say? That Victor came to me with an offer? That he hated the fact so much that Kyle was dating his granddaughter, Claire? That he'd go to any length to stop him? Using me to juice things up, Is that what you're accusing me of?" Nate narrows his eyes. "Is that what you did, Audra?" Nate pleads with Audra to tell him the truth. "Was that Victor's deal?" Audra tries to leave again, crying about being called a liar and whore by someone who loves her. "Goodbye, Nate. This is your loss." She storms out, passing Kane, who exchanges a stare with Nate. Nate confronts Kane about his brother's death. Kane assures him it will haunt him for the rest of his life. Nate snarks, "Oh, should I send you a sympathy card now?" He wonders if they're all just supposed to move on. Why did Kane lie all these years, and why did he put Lily and his kids through this pain and confusion? So, you could leap out of the hedges and yell, "Surprise! Daddy's home!" he snarks. Kane! Steely insists there are reasons for what he did. Nate questions why anyone would ever trust him again. Kane next engages with Esther, who is sorry about Colin dying, even after what he did with Mrs. C's will. Kane orders, takes a seat, and reads a message from Charlie asking him to stop calling him and Maddie. They don't know who he is anymore. Just then, Lily appears. She reads the text and asks if he's surprised. Kane's sure he can fix it. "I did it for you. I did it for them," he wheedles. Kane kept it secret because he was afraid to fail. Nate meets Devin at the bar in society. Devin, unironically, says he looks like he's about to hit somebody. Nate divulges that he accused Audra of lying to him. She gave him more of the same song and dance. He's sure he's pushed her away for good. Devon's not sorry to hear it. Nate frets about blowing up his relationship, but Devon points out that Audra's focus is only on herself. In the park, Phyllis reads about AI on her tablet and learns she has to use this to get inside all the major companies in Genoa City. Audra storms by, and Phyllis hollers, "Oh, hey, Audra! I heard you crashed and burned again!" Fuming, Audra repeats her lie about walking away from Vibrante because she didn't want Victor financing it. Phyllis asks her how Nate is doing after Damien's death. She guesses their relationship is on the rocks and needles about her flirtation with Kyle in Nice. Audra asks why she gives a damn. Phyllis thinks Nate deserves a lot better than her. She asks Audra why Kane invited her to Nice. She's working with him and needs to know the players. Audra learns Ashby is working on something beyond what she could ever imagine, and mocks the idea of him relying on Phyllis, whose sketchy past is a lot worse than hers. Phyllis tells her that what they build together will be more than she or anyone else in this town has ever seen. The Young and the Restless recap for Monday, August 25th reveals that Victor Newman will blackmail Kane Ashby with stolen fortune proof while Sally Spectra puts on a fashion show for Billy Abbott. At Crimson Lights, Victor will interrupt Kane's discussion with Lily Winters and push to speak with him privately. Kane will want to continue his conversation with Lily instead, but she'll think they're done for now and will take off. In the park, Lily will bump into Holden Novak and express concern over him accepting Kane's job offer. There'll also be some talk about Holden's friendship with Damien Kane, which was over long before Damien made the trip to Nice. Holden will bring up Lily's attempt to run from her emotions regarding Kane, who's clearly still in love with her. Lily will be more interested in discussing Kane's overall plan in Genoa City, but Holden will deny knowing what it is. At the Newman Ranch, Adam Newman will try to convince Nick Newman that an alliance with Kane is a bad idea. Kane will never trust them as far as Adam's concerned, and could secretly still move forward with whatever he's plotting. Nick will point out that the alliance wouldn't be sincere and would just be a strategy, but Adam still won't like it. Adam will urge Nick to team up with him and convince Victor that it'd be better to go after Kane directly. However, Nick will shut down Adam's plan and suggest they should trust Victor, who's been waiting on some information to be confirmed. Nick will suggest this relates to a discovery he made at the chateau and will have faith in Victor to handle this. At home, on Monday's Y&R episode, Billy will speak with a private investigator over the phone and insist he wants to know Kane's every move. Sally will come along and model some wardrobe choices for the upcoming launch party, so Billy will watch the private fashion show and pick the one he likes best. After Sally and Billy sizzle on the sofa, they'll talk about Abbott Communications and Sally's fear that she's in over her head. Billy will reassure Sally before taking a phone call from his private investigator about Victor meeting with Kane on his train. Sally will worry about Kane figuring out that Billy's having him followed, but Billy will act like everything's under control. On Kane's train, Victor will indeed meet with Kane and hint about an offer that Kane can't refuse. As Victor presents an envelope, he'll talk about Colin Atkinson's last great swindle. According to Victor, Colin duped the rich elderly woman who owned the chateau and vineyard. There'll be a letter in the envelope involving the woman's last will and testament, which left everything to Colin's final alias. Since Colin used that fortune to help Kane, Victor will view it as proof that Kane's empire was built on dirty, stolen money. Kane will claim he knew nothing about this, but Victor will note that he can't prove he wasn't in on the plan. Victor will threaten to leak this news to the press and run Kane out of town unless he joins forces with him against Jabot. Kane will mull over the extortion and act like Victor's given him no choice, so Victor will be pleased over Kane seeing things his way. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Kane could strike back when Victor least expects it, so stay tuned for updates on vengeful moves to come. Here are the Young and the Restless spoilers for next week. When Victor tries to align with Kane, Claire has questions for Kyle, and Lily grills Holden. Here's a look ahead at the episodes we'll see from Monday, August 25th to Friday, August 29th, 2025. Next week on The Young and the Restless, Lily is determined to figure out what Kane is really up to in Genoa City. Knowing that Holden is working for him, she hopes she might have better luck grilling him than she's had with Kane himself. "I just want to know the truth," Lily tells Holden in the park. "If you think I know Kane's overall plan, then you're wrong," Holden tells her. "I find that very hard to believe," Lily claps back. But it would make sense for Holden to remain loyal to Kane. He doesn't know many people in Genoa City, and Lily hasn't exactly been too warm with him. She even called him an opportunist for working with Kane. Meanwhile, Kane continues to have meetings on his train, and next week, Victor Newman is one of his guests. "Seems to have been your father's last great swindle," Victor smiles. "What are you saying?" Kane asks him gravely. "I'm saying that all of this, all of the buying of property around Genoa City, is all a result of dirty money," Victor suggests. Nate has been catching on to the fact that there's more to Audra's story about why she was in Nice. Kyle has managed to skirt just slightly under the radar, but Claire's not dumb. "Kyle, is there anything that you haven't told me about your time in Nice with Audra? Anything at all?" Claire asks fearfully as a concerned Kyle stares at her. It's not just his relationship with Claire on the line. If he told her the truth about how far things actually went, he not only runs the risk of her leaving him, but she could tell her grandfather, and Victor could invoke their $5 million contract and force Kyle to pay up and then leave town. Does Kyle even have $5 million of his own money? Or would he have to sell off some of his Jabot shares to Kane? Here is your weekly recap of The Young and the Restless for the episodes that aired August 18th through 22nd, 2025. This week on The Young and the Restless, Lily flatly turned down Kane's request for another chance and left him to explain his double life to the twins without her help. Lily warned Holden to watch his back with Kane. Kane stressed to an overenthusiastic Phyllis that they were not partners or equals. Phyllis chided Kane for stalling his plan to take over Genoa City. Kane assigned Phyllis the task of becoming an expert in artificial intelligence. Adam and Chelsea braced themselves for a counterattack from Kane. Phyllis was suspicious about Nick's efforts to turn Kane into an ally. Kane instructed Holden to add Nick to the list of people to make inroads with. Maddie and Charlie rejected Kane's attempts to reach out to them. Nate struggled to believe Audra's claim that she'd decided to walk away from Victor funding Vibrante. Nate tried to be supportive of Audra's plan to work at Abbott Communications, but he had lingering doubts about her story. Claire admitted to Holden that she had doubts about Kyle's version of what had happened with Audra. Tessa and Claire commiserated over their troubles. Daniel and Tessa shared a close moment. Claire informed Nate that Victor had pulled his funding from Vibrante because Audra had failed to break Claire and Kyle by seducing him, while Audra vehemently stuck to her story that Kyle had hit on her. Audra slipped by saying Victor was right in that Kyle would break Claire's heart. Nate grappled with whether to believe Claire or Audra, and Devin advised him to trust his gut. Nate confronted Audra about the holes in her story and gently pressed for the truth to save their relationship. Audra walked out on Nate. Victor stunned Claire by finally agreeing to accept her relationship with Kyle. Victor later told Kyle that while Kyle had passed his test, Victor would never trust an Abbott. Jack cautioned that Kyle's lie of omission about kissing Audra in Nice could be problematic if the truth got out. Sally planned the launch of Abbott Communications and worried about the pressure of running a family company, but Billy assured her she'd be great. Chelsea sensed Billy was planning something big. Jack and Diane shared a romantic Italian-themed evening. The Young and the Restless spoilers hint that Mariah Copeland may receive a mysterious blackmail message that starts with 5 alarming words. Will Mariah face a shocking threat and get another reminder of the business trip she'd rather forget? Mariah still feels haunted by her drunken night with the stranger she ultimately smothered, so fans are wondering where her storyline will go from here. Although Mariah is in therapy and trying to cope as best as she can, she's not doing well at all. Of course, Mariah may be doing even worse once she realizes just how close Tessa Porter and Daniel Romalotti Jr. are getting. It may feel like Mariah's chance to salvage her marriage is slipping away. However, Mariah's life could be turned upside down even more if someone sends her a mysterious blackmail message. That could be exactly what this Y&R story needs to give it a jolt of energy and push it into another exciting chapter. Mariah may think she's the only person in the loop on the horror of that night, but what if she's wrong? Secrets have a way of getting out on soaps, so Mariah may be horrified over someone finding out about her criminal actions. That brings us to the 5 alarming words that mysterious blackmail message might start off with. I know what you did. Mariah may flip out if somebody knows about the smothering and uses it as leverage. There have been some rumblings about Kane Ashby potentially uncovering this secret and using it to his advantage. After all, Kane urged Holden Novak to make a connection with Mariah, and seems like he might want to take over Cassidy First technology as part of his grand plans. Kane could play dirty if he uses Mariah's secret to gain control of Sharon Newman's company, so that's an intriguing option to consider. It's also possible the stranger survived Mariah's smothering attempt and will track her down to mess with her. On the other hand, a relative might be out for revenge if that man really did perish. Whatever the case, it'd be interesting to see Mariah deal with a blackmail crisis. Mariah might face a message that leads to some demands and an unraveling mystery about who's behind the threat. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Mariah has more bad news ahead of her no matter what. The Young and the Restless spoilers are in for Monday, August 25th, 2025. Fans can expect Lily Winters to grill Holden Novak. Nick Newman and Adam Newman agree to a truce to help their family. Also, Victor Newman turns the tables on Kane Ashby. Keep reading, and let's talk about what is coming up in the CBS soap opera. Let's start off with Lily, who is determined to find out what Kane's up to. The woman went to meet with her ex-husband to discuss some things. Lily was hoping to make a deal and get the intel about Kane's ultimate end goal. However, in the end, Lily couldn't keep her emotions in check and lost it on Kane. There was no deal, and even worse than that, Kane has seemingly lost his relationship with his children. Holden faced Lily when he tried to reach out to Kane for a fake job opportunity. Fans know that Holden is already back working for Kane. In fact, the young man was given a list of names for him to make connections with. One of those names was Claire Grace Newman, whom Holden has already interacted with. More recently, Holden chatted with Claire, Tessa Porter, and Daniel Romalotti Jr. Afterward, expect Lily to grill Holden about Kane. While Holden might feel bad, he also really won't be able to tell her much. I wonder if Lily will use Damian Kane to guilt Holden into helping her, though. After all, Kane didn't even have the decency to tell Holden that Damian was dead. Holden had to hear the news from someone he didn't even know. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Monday, August 25th reveal that Nick and Adam will agree to a truce. It seems Adam is making all kinds of peace treaties lately. First, with Victoria Newman, and now with Nick. Of course, it is true that people have to come together to defeat a bigger threat. Right now, that threat is Kane. It is also teased that the next episode will feature Victor somehow turning the tables on Kane. Instead of scaring him away, could the young tycoon throw another curveball at Victor? It seems that things are about to explode, so stay tuned. Which storyline are you looking forward to seeing the most on Monday, August 25th, 2025? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Keep watching the soap on CBS or Paramount Plus to find out what happens next. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Monday, August 25th indicate some interesting moments in the land of Genoa City as the weekend hits. An olive branch is extended between two foes, while another interrogates an acquaintance, and someone turns the tables on a rival. What's set to go down during Monday's show? Time to find out. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Monday, August 25th suggest that Nick Newman and Adam Newman will place their differences aside. It looks like someone will extend an olive branch, and the other will accept it, all in an effort to remain united against Kane Ashby. Nick and Adam have had their fair share of differences in the past, so it's nice to see them united and ready to battle an enemy. Speaking of Kane, Victor Newman will turn the tables on his newest nemesis. Kane wants to take over all the companies within Genoa City, from Newman to Jabot, Chancellor, and possibly Winters. So, as he's coming after Newman, will Victor decide to come for Kane's legacy? Lastly, The Young and the Restless spoilers for Monday imply that Lily Winters will interrogate Holden Novak. Lily is desperate to find out what Kane is up to, and she has a good feeling Holden knows. With that said, Holden is quite loyal to his longtime boss as he worked for Kane when everyone thought he was Aristotle Dumas. Lily can try and grill Holden, but will he divulge any pertinent information? Could he even slip and say something by accident? Fans will have to tune in to find out. On a side note, while it looks as if Lily will end up diving into some sort of romantic reunion with Kane, maybe she should consider a relationship with Holden. They'd be interesting together. What are you most excited to see during Monday's show? Comment below, watch your favorite CBS soap daily, and check out SOS often for the best young and the Restless spoilers, news, and updates. Plus, Nate makes a confession, and Kane reveals more details about the past 6 years. The Young and the Restless spoilers for August 25th, 29 reveal the reason for Amanda's latest return to Genoa City. Plus, Nikki makes a big change in Chancellor, and there's another round of Jack versus Victor on the way. Victor may have finally given his approval for Kyle and Claire's relationship. His hatred for the Abbotts, however, remains as strong as ever, especially his rivalry with Jack Abbott. Next week, look for Victor and Jack to trade barbs over family matters. It's simply another Thursday in Genoa City. There are plenty of other goings-on in the Newman family that don't involve Victor directly. On Monday, Nick and Adam put their differences aside to help their family. Didn't they put aside their differences a long time ago? These days, they seem to get along more than they disagree, but they're always a flare-up away from destruction. On Thursday, Victoria worries about Claire's future, as well she should, considering Kyle is choosing to keep his actions with Audra in Nice a secret. And on Friday, Nikki makes a big change at Chancellor. Does she do this as a preventative measure against Kane's thirst for the company? In other GC news, Amanda returns home to a new assignment. Let's see. Kane already gave Phyllis homework. She has to become an AI expert, so much so that she could give a TED Talk. What homework will Kane give Amanda? Elsewhere, Nate is hurting. He lost Damien and feels helpless when it comes to consoling Amy. Things look done with Audra, who refused to tell him the truth about what went down between her and Kyle in Nice. Y&R teasers suggest that Nate makes a confession to Devon. What does he reveal? Look for Billy to tell Jack about Kane's latest plan. Meanwhile, Kane finally reveals details about his time away from Genoa City. Hopefully, he's filling in Lily since she needs the truth from him. Victor controls everyone. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Monday, August 25th prove that it's possibly for enemies to join forces, when it's for the good of Victor Newman. For 5 years, Kane was happy to outsmart the world. He was the smartest guy in every room. He fooled captains of industry and bamboozled the brightest minds, but that was before he went head-to-head with Victor. Kane is allowed to win as much as he wants, but not if that means Victor might lose. Victor can never lose. Ever. You got that? Which means it's now time for Kane, who, up to this point, was able to anticipate every eventuality and outthink every foe to get outplayed by Victor. Victor has a clever plan, and Kane has no choice but to fall for it. Victor, of course, is capable of doing whatever he needs to, all on his own. That goes without saying, but Victor is also a giver. He generously allows other people to help him, so they can feel good about themselves and learn from the master. Victor is a mentor to young people. He lets them do his dirty work for their own good, which is how Adam and Nick end up working together. The brothers may dislike each other, but whatever Victor wants, Victor gets, no matter who has to do what to make it happen. Lily is once again in the position of being played by Victor, but he's not the only one who wants something from her, so it's time for Lily to turn the tables and pry information out of someone else. Lily cross-examines Holden, as if he's likely to her a straight answer about anything. Never think anything's impossible in life. Victor Newman changed his mind on the Young and the Restless about Kyle and Claire. Of course, don't think for a minute that Kyle is 100% off the hook. In a move that both shocked and pleasantly surprised us, Victor had a change of heart and realized that he shouldn't stand in the way of Kyle and Claire. Kyle just saved $5 million. His accountant will be thrilled. The squabble Victor had with Nikki was a treat to watch, given the long-running chemistry between the couple, and the moving heart-to-heart talk Victoria had with her dad actually meant something. There was some terrific characterization as to why Victor was especially protective of Claire. He didn't seem to have the problems with Kyle and his other granddaughter, Summer, that he had with Kyle and Claire. That's because he felt a kinship with Claire, as both he and Claire had terrible childhoods. Victor grew up in an orphanage after his mother, Cora Miller, dumped him there at the holidays, and Claire was raised by her psycho aunt, Jordan. Kudos to the women in Victor's life, who found him exasperating, but still managed to show how much they loved him. Victoria truly let her dad know that she cared about him despite his reactions to some of the men in her life. He didn't care for Ryan or Cole for years. It wasn't until shortly before Cole died that Victor came to fully appreciate him. Claire beamed as if she were a ray of sunshine when she learned from her granddad that he wouldn't stand in her way if Kyle was the man she really wanted. In true Y&R fashion, a change of heart doesn't come without conditions. Victor summoned Kyle to his ranch to deliver the news of his decision, cutting Kyle off as the young man was in mid-sentence. Jack and Diane continue to prove that they are Genoa City's most supportive parents when it comes to checking in on their adult child. They make sure that Kyle knows they're there for him without being too helicopter-like about it. Maddie and Charlie are the two most talked about characters on a soap opera since As the World Turns tossed around The Search for Sierra back in the late 1980s. Kane desperately wants to have a relationship with his kids, and Lily wants to protect them from their dad. The problem is that Maddie and Charlie had no idea that their father was the secret billionaire Aristotle Dumas. And that's a big problem. It's a problem because while Maddie and Charlie thought their dad was working with ex-cons, he was building a massive fortune. But is this really a problem? And how was it a problem? How would working with ex-cons preclude Kane from picking up the phone and calling his kids, or taking a week off here and there to spend time with them? Maddie and Charlie are out of college by now. When most kids are in college, they're too busy to spend time with their parents. We can think of a million reasons why Kane and Maddie should see past their father's lies. Actually, make that a billion reasons. Phyllis pointed out that the money Kane has should soften the blow in terms of Charlie and Maddie. Most kids would love to find out that their dad had more money than Croesus. Kane wants a better relationship with his kids. He can make that happen by buying their affections. Maybe Maddie would be open to taking some of their father's money, while Charlie wouldn't be. There'd be some conflict, but we'd need to have the twins back on the canvas for this to happen. If Kane's master plan is to win Lily and their kids back, how does taking over Newman, Jabot, Chancellor Industries, and other businesses accomplish that goal? We learned that part of Kane's plan will involve AI. He asked Phyllis, a web guru, what she knew about the emerging technology. Phyllis quipped she couldn't give a TED Talk about AI, but bluffed she knew more about it than she may know. Okay, if Kane truly has billions, then why doesn't he just hire an experienced, AI-knowledgeable person? Instead, he's got Phyllis sitting in the park reading AI for Dummies or some such tome. Where is the rest of Kane's team, by the way? He should have replaced Carter by now with someone who'd received an extensive background check first, of course. And where's Amanda? Does Kane know that she enabled everyone's cell phone again while back in Nice? Amanda is Kane's valuable associate, and it's odd not seeing her on our screens. Maybe she's on her way back from Nice by, train? We've written about how we don't often see all these high-powered business executives actually working on Y&R, and we still don't. However, it was good to hear Lily share with Devon her thoughts on how the meeting they'd just had went over. We don't want to see execs crunching numbers and handling boring business matters, but a little would go a long way. Remember when Ashley used to have those colorful beakers and test tubes in her lab? Jill had that male secretary, David. There were photo shoots and other things in place that made Jabot, for example, look like a real busy company. We saw Audra's facade drop just a bit when Nate kept pressing her to come clean. It was as if she entertained the idea of confessing that, yes, Claire was right. Yes, she was in cahoots with Victor, but nothing happened with her and Kyle. And maybe, just maybe, Nate would have forgiven her. Sean Dominic played Nate's interrogation of Audra as if he were certainly open to the idea of moving forward, and we got the impression that forgiveness wouldn't be off the table. But she just couldn't go there. Whatever happened to Audra in her past has made her afraid to let anyone in. She's ambitious to a fault, she may have lost Nate forever. There is no one more supportive in Genoa City than Sally Spectra. She doesn't judge her pal Audra for her actions. She provides not only a sympathetic ear, but also helpful advice and a job so that Audra can land on her feet. We wonder what it would be like if ex-beau Wyatt Spencer passed through Genoa City and reconnected with his ex-love. Wyatt dumped her more than once, and Sally's happy with Billy now. But it would be interesting to see Wyatt's take on his ex now that she's built a new life. For years, Jack was a loner. He wasn't going to be Nikki's husband forever, as she and Victor were destined to be together. Jack was pressured into marrying Patty Williams, whom he never fully loved. He was widowed when poor Luan died suddenly. His flings with Mary Jo, Lindsay, and others were just that, flings. But Diane is Jack's OTP. They didn't get to have that honeymoon in Europe thanks to Kane, so Diane created a festive Italian date night with her husband in an effort to make up for that. Killing Diane off was a big error, and Y&R asked us to take a leap that her demise was faked by Deacon delivering a look-alike corpse from the look-alike dead body store. However, it was a leap of faith worth taking. There's plenty of story to be mined from Diane's time away from Genoa City. Did she have another relationship? Another child? Chance is gone. Jill only appears via video calls. We didn't get to see Nina for Chance's memorial. There's been no mention of Philip III, who's alive in Australia. We don't get to see the Chancellor family mansion. It was one of the show's oldest sets, predating both the Newman Ranch and the Abbott Mansion. Fortunately, we get to see Esther, as Sharon brought her on to manage Crimson Lights. Esther reconnected with Kane, and the show recalled the connection between the two, given Kane's brief marriage to Esther's daughter, Chloe. Esther was a bit sassy with the billionaire. Perhaps if he's looking for someone to be his next assistant, he should think about employing his former mother-in-law. She knows who everyone is in Genoa City. The Young and the Restless spoilers document that Cole Howard and Damian Kane recently died. Cole succumbed to Legionnaire's disease, and Damian was murdered. The character Peck played was revived as part of a write-out. Considering the length of Peck's stay in the cast during his first stint, and the fact that his persona originally appeared as a baby in the 1980s, a question must be asked. Why wasn't Cole memorialized? Damian was a new character who first appeared earlier this year, with a significant amount of detail about his life offered since then. But it appears that Rivers's character was used to extend Nate Hastings's backstory and to facilitate Holden Novak's entrance into Genoa City, Wisconsin. Both of the above recently departed characters' memorials were held off-screen. But it's still plausible to rightly honor Chance Chancellor, formerly known as Philip Chancellor IV, who was shot and killed on Kane Ashby's estate. Chance is a direct tie to the famous Chancellor family, which was first represented by Catherine Chancellor and his grandfather, Philip Chancellor II. Catherine and Philip II debuted with the show in 1973. Chance's father is Philip Chancellor III. Jill Abbott is Philip III's mother. Viewers recently saw Jill, although it was only through a video call with Billy Abbott. But Chance was only referenced secondarily in that scene. Chance's mother is Nina Webster, who should be back this fall to be part of Christine Blair's remarriage to Danny Romalotti. Nina has been a recurring character in recent years and should have already been seen, considering the depth of this tragedy. Philip III also hasn't been seen or heard from. What could be called a background storyline was created for Cole. He returned from a business trip for Newman Publishing that took him around the world. He contracted an initially undiagnosed illness while he was gone. It was caught too late, and nothing could be done for the man Victoria Newman was once married to, and shares a remarkably returned daughter, Claire Newman, with him. At least viewers were given a believable send-off story and witnessed a farewell hospital scene between Cole, Claire, and Victoria that included a fitting two-shot goodbye from Cole to Victoria. Some type of memorial should have been shown for Cole, rather than having the Newman family father at the ranch, with Victor Newman using the event to behave badly toward Claire and Kyle Abbott. Damian was drugged through liquor that Kane's criminal assistant purposely spiked. Rivers's short run on Y&R ended with a knife being thrown into Damian's back from a sizable distance. Viewers later learned that a memorial was held that included his mother, Amy Lewis, Holden, Nate, and Audra Charles. It would have been nice to see Damien's service or have a gathering afterwards, but the writing staff apparently didn't believe this character's length of screen time warranted it, which makes sense. Byards hasn't been seen on screen since 2011. His character wasn't brought back when Catherine died in 2013. So, Philip III's lack of visibility in this instance may mean this character will only be referenced rather than seen. The actor who portrayed him may not be able to return, or a recast for this current purpose isn't feasible. But Nina can certainly come back to GC before the wedding in October. That storyline is and should remain upbeat. Hopefully, the fans don't see Nina deal with Chance's death for the first time this fall. Ronan Malloy is Nina's other child and Chance's brother. He hasn't been in GC since 2012 and works for the federal government. So Ronan's absence has been and can be explained away, unless he returns to honor Chance in some way. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that in the August 19th episode, Harrison Abbott was mentioned. It sounds like the little boy might be coming back to Genoa City to spend some time with Kyle Abbott. However, could all the drama with Audra Charles and Claire Grace Newman ruin Harrison's homecoming? Keep reading and let's talk about what could happen next in the CBS soap opera. So, Harrison was brought up. Jack Abbott and Diane Jenkins Abbott talked about what kind of activities the boy liked. Fans know that Harrison went to Milan with Summer Newman. The little boy should return in time to go back to school, though. Until Harrison comes back to town, Kyle will be dealing with the drama between Audra and Claire. The brunette went too far with Claire, and the blonde retaliated. It seems that Nate Hastings could decide to dump Audra. However, that will just make her go after Kyle and Claire even harder. Nothing like a beauty queen who loves misery. However, there is also Kyle's secret. He didn't tell Claire the whole truth about what happened in Nice. While Audra did seduce Kyle, he left out the part where he didn't stop until the very last minute. So, as that comes out, Claire's fangs could get even sharper. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Claire asked Kyle multiple times for a direct answer about what happened with Audra in Nice. Instead of answering the question, Kyle danced around it. So, Claire still has no clue how far things went. This wasn't just a kiss or leading Audra to the bed. Kyle was just wearing a towel and was lying on top of her. It wasn't until they were nearly bare when Kyle suddenly stopped it. When Claire finds out just how far things went, her revenge scheme could kick up a few notches. Back to Harrison, he could come home and see a side to Claire that scares him. If he walks in the door with Kyle, only to find Audra and Claire in a violent catfight, it could change things forever. I have a feeling that this dynamic between Audra and Claire will just get worse over the years. I think we are seeing a situation similar to Phyllis Summers and Sharon Newman. Another possibility is that Claire turns into Jordan to get back at Audra. The blonde promised that she wouldn't resort to Jordan's methods, but the retaliation felt really good. So, Claire could easily cross the line.